Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Central. If you're new here, my name is Shayla, and today I'm doing a review of the bottle that my patrons voted on, and the bottle with the worst wax in the game, Knob Creek 100 Proof. So as always, I've got a little bit of history for you today, but if you want to skip around to other parts of the video, there's timestamps in the description box below. And if you enjoy whiskey reviews, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos. So I covered most of the Jim Beam history in my Jim Beam white label video, so if you want to watch that cringy thing, I'll link it in a card up here. But just a quick overview, you have James Beauregard Beam, who was born in 1864. Jim Beam is still family run, now in its 7th generation. And Booker Noe, Jim Beam's grandson, kicked off this small batch whiskey movement with Booker's True Barrel Bourbon, Baker's, Basil Hayden's, and Knob Creek. Originally, Knob Creek was a brand from National Distillers. Jim Beam merged with National in 1987, and they took the Knob Creek name to add as part of their small batch collection. So Knob Creek was released in 1992 by Booker Noe, and it aimed to represent a pre-Prohibition style bourbon that was bottled at a higher proof and in a barrel for a longer period of time. Originally, this bottle had a 9-year age statement, but with growing bourbon enthusiasm, the Jim Beam stock were starting to run out, and they had to take the 9-year age statement off the shelf. The stocks have since recovered, and in 2020, the 9-year age statement came back. So while my bottle doesn't have a 9-year age statement, the one at your local liquor store probably does. So on the label, this says small batch, and I'm sure most of you guys already know, but if you don't, small batch doesn't actually mean anything. It's not a legal designation, and anybody can put small batch on their bottle no matter how many barrels they use in their batch. So just take it with a grain of salt. So Booker Noe was the one that started all of this. He passed away in 2004, and his son Fred Noe took over as the master distiller for Jim Beam, and his son Freddie Noe is following in his father's footsteps. Alright, so let's get into the details of this whiskey. The regular size of this bottle will run you about $30. It's owned by Beam Suntory, and it's made in Claremont, Kentucky. Now, my bottle doesn't have an age statement, but the bottle you get should have an age statement of 9 years. It's 50% ABV or 100 proof, and the mash bill is 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. It's aged in new charred oak barrels. It's non-colored, and while I don't think it needs to be chill filtered, it has a high enough proof that it doesn't need to be chill filtered, but I know that Jim Beam chill filters most of their expressions, and it doesn't say non-chill filtered, so we're gonna go with that it is chill filtered. But I'm gonna pour a dram of this, I'll let it sit for about 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've let this open up for about 10 minutes, and you don't need to do that, but especially with something that's a little bit higher proof like this, it's kind of nice to just let it sit for like 10 minutes. The ethanol burn on your nose will be a lot less, and those other notes will kind of pop up as the whiskey opens up. So let's go in for a nose. So the first thing I get is roasted peanuts, and that's kind of like the most powerful note that I get, and all the other notes that I'm getting are kind of like underneath that. And then there's kind of like a mustiness to it. It's almost like musty roasted peanuts. There's quite a bit of caramel on the nose as well. And then it's almost like an apple pie, kind of. There's like baked apples with a little bit of like cinnamon and baking spices. And then that's like cooked down in butter is kind of what it smells like. Still getting like a little bit of ethanol sting on the nose, even though I let it sit for a while. You get some vanilla, a little bit of an orange citrus note as well. You You get that oak and some rye spice. Alright, let's go on the palate. Cheers, guys. Tastes pretty good. So, you get roasted peanuts, get a little bit of caramel sweetness, a little bit of vanilla. Some of that citrus also comes along. And the finish, you get a little bit of like an oak, a little bit of oak and like rye spice. And it's kind of like a drying finish, like all over the palate. And then it's kind of weird, like on the front of the palate, I get more of a roasted peanut note, but then on the finish, it kind of develops almost into like a peanut butter note. But this is a pretty good whiskey, so I'm gonna finish it up and I'll be right back with my recommendation. This is a really good bottle. I would never be upset if I got this as a pour, but the first Knob Creek expression that I had ever tried was the Knob Creek 9-year single barrel reserve, and I'm kind of comparing this to that, which is unfair. They're two totally different things, but my single barrel was so good, and I wouldn't kick this out of the bed for eating crackers, but if you have the extra coin, I would go for the 9-year single barrel reserve. It is amazing and worth the money. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Whiskey Central. Next week, I'll be reviewing the bottle that my patrons voted on, which is the Old Forester 1870. If you want to support me by becoming a patron, links are in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, leave it a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Am I recording? Yeah, if it says small batch, doesn't mean shit. Fucker. Fuck. I can't get this. Fuck. Whew. Said it 12 times today, guys. Just can't. Whew. Time is coming again for me, and I'm feeling the same way all over again. Feeling the same way all over again. Singing the same lines all over again. A millionaire, I'm a young money billionaire. Tougher than Nigerian hair, my criteria compared to your career just isn't fair. I'm a venereal disease like a bleed through the pencil and leak of the sheet on the tablet in my mind, cause I don't write shit cause I ain't got time. Cause my seconds, minutes, hours go to the almighty dollar and the almighty father of that chopper, sister, brother, son, daughter, for the motherfucker got the Maserati dancing on the bridge, pussy popping till the coppers, ha 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 ha, you can't catch them, you can't stop them, I go by them golden rules, if you can't beat them, then you drop them, you can't man them, then you mop them, you can't stand them, then you drop them, we pop them, cause we pop them like old Red and Baca. What do you say to that, Matt?